was wondering what you were experiencing when you were looking around the room.
My own self. The current of being. That which has no name. I see myself in all things. Right now, if you look at me from here, is it possible? As if your eyes were actually in the center of your chest. How is your view when you look from here?
Space.
Okay. Is there a limit to space?
There is a little bit.
Tell me more about this limit.
Let's see. It feels kind of like an egg that's moving, like it goes this far.
What's aware of this egg that's moving? Who's aware of it?
Expansion is aware of it.
Okay. So this one that is expansion itself, stay here. Keep looking from here. Can you open your eyes? That's it. Okay. Now look from space. Look from expansion. Look as expansion. Again, how is your view when you look as expansion?
It's opening up.
Okay.
Yes.
Within that expansion, many things can be seen and experienced. Within the space of myself, many things can come and go. They can be enjoyed. How beautiful they are. But I, as the space that is watching them, remains as I am, untouched. So when I say I see myself, I see the space that you're discovering as expansiveness itself. You are space. The space of awareness. The one that's watching this one. So we can use your body. So let's use one of your senses right now. Visual seeing is happening. Okay, you can see me. You can really feel the muscles of your eyes working if you want to. Okay. Who is watching the act of seeing?
Yeah, just awareness.
Can you touch your awareness as a physical form?
No.
No. Is it male or female?
Neither.
Neither. Does it have a limit? An edge?
No, it has little currents.
It has a...
Um,
Don't think about it.
no, I'm not. I'm just. Yeah.
Look at what you're saying.
Pardon?
Look at what you're saying.
Look at what I'm saying.
An eye that has no form, no sex, is watching this little eye.
Right.
Awareness eye that is not a woman is watching the woman. How is it when your focus is on awareness eye? How do you feel?
Yeah, it's expansive.
Is anything missing?
It's just what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So stay here in just what it is. This is the peace that you're craving, the love that all human beings are seeking. You are the very thing that you're craving. The space of your being is peace itself, is love, is compassion. You are tasting yourself. What a taste.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The question has to do with the mother. It has many aspects to it, and it's been maturing in these few days with the experience I am having. I don't know where to start or how to formulate it, so I'm going to try in the middle of this indefinition I have right now. Yesterday, after the beautiful walk we had, it just pain came when I was home. That has to do with the end result of the seeing of the process or witnessing the process was that there is a deep rejection that I feel from the mother. That has been my experience, and that this rejection taints every other relationship that I yearn or long or feel attracted to. I immediately go into the fact that, so yesterday when I was watching all this and I was trying to hold myself as the mother for that child, I realized something I have not realized before ever, which is the bond between me and my heart. on the level of this love is not there. And therefore, I can only hold myself from my head because there is no bond. And obviously, I didn't bond with my mother. And today, when you were having the satsangs with them, that's why I was like, it was perfect continuation of the mother. I realized that this is the basic gift that we get with this identification. Maybe I'm wrong, but the capacity to bond with this primary love through the mother, and how important that first experience is.
Okay.
And so
there's
I'm
lots
here.
Yeah, there's lots here, so
Yeah,
let's go slow.
exactly.
When I use the term mother, I'm speaking in different ways. Okay. In the deepest sense, I mean mother as pure consciousness. Then we can also say mother as divine mother, as Shakti. Okay. And then we speak of mother as earthly mother, as the one who gives birth. So we have the great womb of consciousness who gives birth, and then we have the earthly mother who gives birth. So the great human story, the great drama, is a temporary forgetting of your parent. Consciousness is manifest within itself a capacity to forget itself for a while. And the moment that happens, the moment you're born and you're given your name and you become this one, I am this person, you forget your origin. And in that forgetting, at the same time, there is a deep yearning for that which is somehow forgotten. You don't know quite what it is, but you know there's something there. And so you search for it, you seek it, and you crave it in another. And the first one you crave it from is who? Mother, of course. And in that, when you are still locked in being this person, separate from your mother, a holding on of love begins. A holding on of love. And very unique expectations of love. Okay, each being has their own script of need, their own script of expectations, unique to this one. Okay, so your script of need will be different from your mother's script of need. Conditional love. Okay, I must have this in order to be happy. And when we don't have that, we feel let down, betrayed, abandoned, unloved. So what a teacher your earthly mother becomes. To show you the love that has no conditions. And yes, it takes time. You can spend many years building up your catalogue of conditioning to then spend many years undoing it. All right? But all is well. It's not a problem. It's not wrong. It's a gift. So now to go back to what you were saying, that there feels no bond, and that somehow the lack of earthly bond with your earthly mother has closed or put a brace around your heart, that you can't feel a bond with yourself. And yes, there is no heart, there is no wall around the heart. And yet we can say temporarily, your emotional heart builds walls against your own seeing, against your intuitive knowing. To come into recognition of pure love, of pure mother, is to smash through that wall. It's not completely down yet.
Is it partly down?
There's a gaping hole in it, let's put it that way. Wide hole. It's what happens when you face yourself in another, when you see yourself, real love, your own reality in another. You literally, it's like a demolition ball on your own emotional wall. And at the same time, there is nothing more terrifying than that love. So as quickly as you're about to deconstruct that wall, new layers are going to build up to protect yourself from a love that's so overwhelming. But this one who feels unloved by mother feels abandoned by God. This is the root. Abandoned by yourself. This is part of a very deep-rooted human conditioning. In the forgetting of yourself, you feel abandoned by parent. And a great anger arises at the divine. You let me down. Deeply unconscious, and sometimes not so unconscious. A rage at your expectations not being met. But again, this isn't wrong. This is all part of a divine journey. Because every child, when it's born, it has to grow up and away from the parent. That's part of its growth. Every child will actively deny its parent and dissociate and not want anything to do with the parent. I'm going to be completely different from you. I'm going to be individual. Okay, so that's the human journey. We have many years of striking out on our own, free of our parent, the deeper parent. So we think, so we want. And of course, eventually, we collapse on ourselves because it's unsustainable. Nothing happens without parent. It is because of parent that you breathe, that you think, that you move, that you talk, that you exist. So now you've reached a point where you're asking yourself, okay, I feel abandoned by my earthly mother. This is my teaching. Now I'm being pushed to know real mother. As in pure consciousness, the great womb. To know who I am.
It takes me back to this difficulty to connect. So how can this be bridged? In order, it's like on one level, I feel it's starting to happen, and yet at the substance level, it feels like I don't connect. So to feel the love of the mother, the big mother, is it possible without this connection? I mean, there is something there that I'm missing a link somewhere.
There is no one needing to make a connection. What do you feel when you sit in my presence?
Whatever it is, I feel that brought me from Spain to
Sweetheart.
here. Whatever I feel that brought me from Spain to here, to be sitting now here.
Okay. Can you put words on it? Can you try? What do you feel?
That's precisely it. It's very undefined, but it's there. Something is there.
Does it feel that it's judgmental?
No.
Is
embracing.
Embracing. Okay, now we can really use some words. Use words. What a gift they are. Feel. Allow yourself. This is actually attraction. This goes back to something you said yesterday about not trusting your knowing, not feeling that you can connect, not allowing yourself to feel. Somehow feeling has become very woolly in our journey. We feel it's not true. It's not spiritual to feel.
And sometimes when it's there, it's so clear.
Sweetheart, sorry.
When it's there, it's so clear.
Okay, so let's not speak from memory. What's happening now? Look at me from here, right now. Tune into that sense of your being. To the space of you. It's like tuning into your own radio. The frequency of being. Can you touch your sense of existence as a form?
Don't.
Can you touch?
Well, something came to my head that says there is something and it's undefined. I can't define it.
Okay.
And at the same time, this thought came to me about me sometimes expected in a specific way.
Expected to do?
In a specific way. It's like I create an image of how it has to be, and
Okay.
then I want to fit myself, and that's, I think, where I get lost.
Okay. Yes.
It's like, it's not this, therefore you miss what is going on because it's not whatever
Yes.
the image
I
is.
know. The mind does not like indefinable. You've just said it's indefinable. And instantly the mind goes, it wants to define. It wants to be able to say it's like this, and I'm going to box it like this. Allow yourself to be completely stupid. Okay, now you can be indefinable you.
Yeah, I think this is what I, whatever that I is, am most scared of.
Indefinable you?
Indefinable me.
Of course. You said it.
And I noticed now you're bringing something else to me, that in this last day and a half, all of a sudden my mind is kind of like much quieter, as if there's nothing to hold on to say anything about, and yet it's starting to create on a much smoother level stupidities. Like, look at this thing, what is happening with the flower, and I watch again and I say, oh, but there is really nothing, so what is this thing, and
Why
yeah.
not? Let everything come. Is the silence of your being noisy? No. Silence remains even while noise is there. While you're here, let the noise be noisy. That's the grace of Satsang. That's the grace of being in Arunachala. That's the grace of coming to see the reality of who you are. Is that in that seeing, in that knowing that you know without knowing how you know, you are held. Let everything collapse around you. Be willing to not understand a single thing anymore.
What comes to me, that maybe it doesn't even matter what I just said at the beginning, whether there is a bond with myself or there is no bond with myself. Who cares? I don't know.
Everything matters. Everything is you. It's not enough to say, oh, well, it's just the mind being noisy. Those patterns will re-emerge constantly unless you cut them. You get there and you cut them. And you can't do that until there's understanding of them. And you can't have understanding of your mind until you have distance. And you can't have distance until you're here.
So how to come back here when there is this cut?
Now, can you come back now? Hold me in your heart. Use my form. Now can you open your eyes and look at me from here?
More connection. More connection.
Okay. So this is your practice.
When I feel the cat, I use this.
Don't wait for turbulence. Don't wait for something bad to happen. In every moment, in all moments, you are shifting your perspective. You're bringing your focus from the mind, from the thinking mind, into intuitive heart, into awareness self. Let not one word, thought, deed, or action come from this one unless it come from the pure heart. Are you being truthful in every moment of your existence? The only way you can be truthful is to be in the heart, is to be as you are, as the indefinable you. This is your conscience. Now look at your earthly mother and your relationship with her from here. From this position you can see all the details, all the nuances of that relationship, but you're not in judgment of them. Now you can see the gift of her teaching, pushing you into a deeper you. You are beyond the one needing connection. Nonetheless, that urge for connection has pushed you inward, so it wasn't wrong. But is the silence of your being needing connection? No. See how you answer that so clearly. The mind thinks it has a job to do. I must try and be more like this. And it will tie itself up in more knots. But there is one activity that we have to do, and that is every time you feel that wandering one, to bring it, hold on to the hand of that little errant child and pull it back in to indefinable you. It's very firm, this parent. It doesn't take any nonsense. But it's not shouting, it's not judging, it's not hitting this child. Allow also at this time that a shattering has occurred for you. We said this the first day you spoke. Allow everything to be completely without reference anymore.
And is it possible that because the shattering is happening, so much is burping up like this?
Is it not happening? Is that what's happening?
It seems like it, yeah.
Well, then it's possible.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to burp everything up. Rather out than in. Okay, let it all come up. You are held in mother's arms. You see, you struggle only because you've forgotten that you're held. Even that question, pull yourself back. Of course everything has to be burped up in its own time. Something strong will come up, there'll be a big burn, you'll feel it, really, really feel it, then it releases. Something else will come up. This is what we mean when we're talking about putting yourself under the microscope. Getting that scalpel ready. But it's a loving scalpel. Okay. Yes, it hurts.
Not that much, really.
Okay. You said yesterday that I don't trust my knowing.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. But something made you get on a plane and come here. What that was, that is your deepest knowing. And you did trust, you had no choice about it. Heart calls out to heart, brings it home. Bathe there in that knowing. Everything else will come from there. That is Mother. Do you see? Because when you fully become a baby in the arms of Mother, in the arms of consciousness, you become Mother. Does the indefinable you feel abandoned by Mother? Okay. Just bathe. Thank you.
Ma, I'd like to speak to you about something which I've noticed in the last days being around here.
Just lift it up a little. That's it.
It's been very wonderful walking around and talking to people and meeting new sights and sounds.
Just to be close, my love.
But I've been noticing something which I'd like to speak to you about, which I think is a form of prejudice that comes up, maybe prejudice or perhaps little discriminations, which I've been aware of for a long time, but now it's really deepened in a way which is, I think, a really good way, in that I can see so much more of this with people and with places and even animals, actually, where little aspects of prejudice, thoughts or feelings come up. A bit hard to describe, but
Can you give an example?
Sorry?
Can you give an example?
I can give you a good example, actually, of a moment yesterday when I was sitting amongst a little community of monkeys. And I had a piece of banana in my hand. And I was also taking some photographs of especially of the little baby ones. I thought they were really beautiful. And then a really slightly bolshy monkey came along and sat down in front of me. And I noticed it had a chunk missing out of its ear, and it was kind of looking at me wrong. And I thought, I don't think I like this monkey. But of course the monkey was looking at my banana. And but I actually knew that I was thinking that. I didn't feel very good about thinking that, because I was loving all the other monkeys so much more. You know? I mean, you could say this is the same thing about people, but I'm going to use this is a true example that happened amongst a community
Never
of
trivial.
monkeys. And then before I could really sit with that and go with that feeling and work on that feeling, another monkey appeared. This time it was really close, beside me, and it took my mind off all the monkeys, so I just gave the banana to the one that was coming up beside me, because I had a feeling he might bite my hand. But actually, it's a good example, I think, of how I feel very, very often amongst not just people, but I also realize that I have sometimes really extreme feelings about the same in places, which are just other forms of things, where I can be in a place and have a really prejudiced feeling about a building or something that's man-made, or even plants occasionally. Even plants, I like this one much better than this one.
Yes.
This rose has got a little chink in its petal, or it's not been watered properly, so I don't like it as much as the other. But the question that comes out of this for me is, well, first of all, this is in the last couple of days I've realized how much more little bits of prejudice, feelings and thoughts that there are in everything. And the question really for me is it only possible to go to the place in me which I am aware of, not always, but the place in me that isn't prejudiced, that doesn't have those prejudiced feelings? Does it have to be in the very, very moment that these come up, or is there another way? Is there another practice that I can do in order to come to terms with this?
You are that one that's never prejudiced. It feels like you're coming back to it, and that you keep wandering away. It's simply your attention is wandering. And yes, in the beginning it feels like you must use every experience to pull yourself back, until that is your default position, until you are moving as that. It's not about trying to be good or trying to be non-judgmental. You're not a place. Peace is not a place to be. It's not a state of mind. It's your reality. It's who you are. But for the moment, the mind is in training, let's say, to remember its reality. And so you have to keep reminding, and how wonderful that it should be monkeys that come. You see how you are speaking to yourself in every single moment, and so creatively. The mind is constantly judging. That's what it is to be identified as a thinking mind. It's always got needs and expectations that must be met. a checklist that it runs through of what it likes. But these eyes see beauty everywhere. You are perfection. And never underestimate the perfection of so-called imperfection. It's all you, dancing in different form. So what happened when you gave the banana away and you reflected on the monkey who was looking at you wrongly? How did you feel about him then? Excuse me.
That's just the so much happens all the time so quickly that I didn't give myself time to then, I then turned my attention to something else completely, and I didn't give myself time to ask myself that question.
Yes, that asking is still mental. Okay. View from here. Let space watch the monkeys. Okay, in this moment, can you lift up the arm that's holding the mic? Really lift up the arm. Let the arm lift. Okay, you can feel the muscles. It's doing its job. Okay, now you can bring it back down. Now, can you feel the space in the arm? In the arm.
In the arm.
Feel your arm as space. Now let space move up. Lift. And back down. Is there any difference to the quality of movement?
Yes.
Can you describe it?
It's more relaxed and serene. It feels lighter.
Okay. That space can still work very hard. It can still lift something very heavy. It can still run. It can still do something strenuous. But it is not pushing to do anything. It's not demonstrating its activity. Activity is moving itself through this one. The divine momentum moves through this one. Let space look at me right now. Let space listen to all of the noises that you can hear. Okay. See how much activity there is. So much going on. And space contains it all. Is space listening? Be the one that's watching your listening. The one that's watching your visual seeing. The one that's watching you breathe. Is space breathing?
Okay.
Wow, what an answer. Space isn't breathing. So now when you leave here, let space walk you down the stairs. Let space buy you chai. Let space drink the chai. Let space interact with every being. From this deeper wisdom, you will see that you are that you are interacting with. There's nothing to work out. This isn't an intellectual premise. But your own discovery says that when you are allowing space to move as you, it has a different quality. You said it felt more serene, light. Within that lightness of being, activity occurs.
If I view the world through that space, will that bring about the sense that there's more, there's less urgency and more time in order to maybe I should put it another way around. Would that space dissolve the sense of discrimination, the sense of different? I like this, I don't like that.
Look now. Let yourself answer that question. Let your own discovery be the answer. Otherwise, it's just my words you're holding on to. Looking as space, do you feel judgment towards that monkey?
No.
No. From that position, you can be discerning about the monkey. Okay? You can feel all of the details of his behavior. You can be in the presence of anyone and anything who is not in recognition of who they are and not suffer it. You see, when you know this, when you know the one that is beyond all difference, you can then taste difference. To come to the heart is not to be whitewashed. You're not a blank. It's actually to experience even more exquisitely, with more fine detail. But you're not holding on to experience anymore. You're not discriminating, saying, I would prefer that experience, please. Everything is you. The English language has that wonderful expression of not minding. How perfect. Within that, you as this form is then free to shine as the perfect individual form that it is. And you will have your unique likes and dislikes, but they won't define you. Okay? It's not that every single human being is going to suddenly love archaeology. You're all going to have your unique set of likes, your unique passions, but those passions won't drive you anymore in the same way. They won't define your existence. And they're free. And then it's okay to say, okay, well, I love roses, but my perfect rose is this one. That's okay. Why not? But it won't make you unhappy if you see a rose that's not the perfect one. You see?
Yes, I see. I sometimes also, though, I think there's something that gets added on to this inside me, is that when I am aware that I don't like something, or there's something in somebody that I don't like, then part of me also doesn't, is aware that I don't like that of myself.
Sure, yes.
And when that happens, what I feel probably happens then is that I try to hide those discriminations away because I don't like to feel those, and I much rather not hide those away.
Yes, I understand. Okay, so the mind is very quick to judge itself and get cross with itself, and yet at the same time there is wisdom in that, because it's saying this isn't correct. I am not serving truth by having a judgment about someone else. So in that moment when it comes, really face it. What is it in me that's feeling impatient? Why am I triggered by this person? What expectation in me has not been met? You have to be so willing to be wrong. It's never what's going on outside you. Even if someone is displaying behavior that's absolutely not rooted in the heart, who is the one in you who can be troubled by it? Who is knocked off your bearings? You see? Of course, the mind will have expectations, but does the silence of your being need those same expectations met? And that is the question you can ask yourself in every circumstance. You have to be willing to catch it when it comes. And even if at the moment it means doing a retrospective because it's so loud and noisy in the moment that you can't, that's fine. Step away afterwards if you have to, as long as it's done. And slowly in time you'll be able to be in the moment, see the test as it's coming, and not be in your former reactive mode. Pull yourself back to space.
Thank you. That's very valuable to me.
Thank you, my love.